podcast, we talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac, and on this bonus episode, I am joined by probably my most special guest I've had ever since the beginning of this podcast. I'd like everyone to welcome in my moms. What's going on?
Oh, good afternoon.
My mom's is Miss Sylvia Sanchez.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Last time I checked.
Now, it's interesting is that I haven't fully announced that bringing you on the podcast until the last episode that I ever recorded, but I guarantee that most people will be interested to hear your perspective, and especially your paranormal experiences that I shared, especially me growing up as a kid, and then the stuff that you experienced and you didn't even tell me about until I was older and doing this. But do you remember like when you first started experiencing paranormal stuff?
Oh gosh, I can't remember yesterday at this stage of my life, but
Yeah.
I can try. Probably maybe my teenage years, older teenage years, because I kind of actually was interested in the supernatural. I probably was in high school when I started getting very interested in the supernatural.
The reason I ask is most people assumed that my ability had to come from a bloodline and stuff like that. Like I had to have a parent who was a psychic or medium, or grandparents or great grandparents or something for me to do what I'm doing now. And for everyone listening, my mom knows everything. I've told her everything about my abilities and what I've been doing and stuff like that. Whether she 100% believes me or not, is that's the whole other thing. But every time I've ever talked about it, it's always said, "Oh, so where your family bloodline? Is there any psychic mediums or anything like that?" So that's always been a curious question because I remember I asked you about that, but you started getting into the paranormal when you were young. But is that because you noticed? Because I remember you told me you have some kind of like latent sensitive ability.
Yeah, I've always like felt that, like when I meet people, um, I don't know, it's like I always kind of get a feeling of who they are. Um, maybe, get a feeling of what they've been through. I can tell if it's somebody that's got maybe evil intent, or if it's a good person, or maybe someone in need of prayer. But yeah, I've always gotten that feeling when I happen to meet people. Animals have always been very attracted to me. So I'm not sure if that's supernatural or not, but yeah, animals have been, I don't know. And I've always noticed that, I don't know if it's just me or maybe it was me and my mother. Uh, when we were like maybe young and teenagers, we would go somewhere, right? Like I'd say a fast food place. And there was like nobody there. We'd be sitting inside eating. All of a sudden, all kinds of people would start showing up and the place would get busy. That happened so many times that after a while, it would happen and we would just turn around and look at each other and go, yeah, it's happening again. I don't know what that's about. We would go somewhere and it would be slow. And then after a little bit, all of a sudden it would be busy. It's like,
That happened to
yeah.
me and Gabe all the time.
And I don't know, I kind of looked up what that could mean. It said it has to do something with your energy is attracting people. They're attracted to your energy.
No, that for people who don't know, Gabe is my brother, and when me and him would always hang out, we would go places. Every time we go to like a restaurant or something like that, to be dead and sick of we're there, get crowded up. Like, oh, Gabe
Yeah.
would always make a joke. Oh, there's our curse again, causing people to be place to get busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd always joke about that. I know it happened to you.
Yeah, it did. It happened to be a lot.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Things are starting to add up now. But
But I don't know. I kind of just on my own started just studying supernatural. I was interested in like ghost, psychic phenomena. I don't know. Sometimes when we would have on Halloween, we would invite like my sister's friends, Jeannie's friends over, at least one time that I remember. and we did like a fake seance. It was kind of fun, but I don't know. I
You told
did
me
play with a Ouija board one time, which, oh, now I just totally regret it. But yeah,
you told me that there was an experience you had, and I remember we were trying to talk about it last time we spoke about is you were like guys were in the living room or something. You heard a big crash in the kitchen, like a bunch of dishes fell, and you ran in there and nothing was going on.
yeah. I'm thinking that was when we were in Germany, and we were watching TV. And yeah, I heard a sound like a bunch of plates fell and broke on the floor. So of course I'm going to run over there and nothing. There was nothing. Not one dish had moved. I don't know what that was about. I just kind of just brushed it off and forgot about it.
That's something I never asked about because I know you were with your grandpa, you were with dad because he was in the army, um, and he traveled and he was stationed in Germany for a bit. Was that
Hmm.
house you guys stayed in, was that haunted, or at least was it known to be?
No,
Or
no, it wasn't a house. It was an apartment building where they housed all the military families. We were on the fourth floor, and it had about four bedrooms, I believe. But it was an old building from what I what heard about it. It's an old building that had been around since I think early maybe early 1900s. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. It was in a town called Vogelway in Germany.
and I think I got some German
And
listeners who might know what that is.
it's in Kaiserslautern where I graduated high school. But apparently many families, back and forth lived in those apartments. We lived there, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years.
Hmm. Was there any other paranormal experiences that happened while you guys were there?
Not that I know of that I experienced, even though that's kind of when I was actually starting to study the supernatural on my own. I was reading all kinds of books on, witchcraft and uh, witches and ghosts. I don't know. Everybody always said that it was cold in my room, colder than every other room in the house, which I didn't think it was weird, but I don't know, maybe that was something.
The intuitive skill that you're saying that you have with people, that's something that Megan does. And I always said that Megan, she's always a jack of all trades when it comes to psychic mediumship abilities, but her main get besides remote viewing, but she does have a keen feeling about people when she meets them, and often plays when she feels that she doesn't like someone when she first meets them, and they haven't done anything to her. There's no reason why her not to like that person,
Mm,
but there's something off. Like she can feel like a negative energy coming from them. It's because we figured out is that she can know somebody's sin, whether it's excuse me, whether it's something they're going to do in the future, something in the past, something they're doing right now. It's something negative that is they're hiding behind their character. And most people won't ever pick up on that. They could be the nicest person in the world, like a Mr. Rogers, but if you get a
mm.
negative emotion from them, they're doing something not supposed to be doing, or they're going to do something.
Yeah, I kind of get the same feeling.
Now, I know a thing I talked about with you when I asked, because I was going back in my memories of scary stuff that's happened, but also where I could possibly get my mediumship abilities. And I remember you talked about your sensitive ability and stuff like that. And I don't think that's a full root cause of my current ability now, but I think it probably helped. But you also talked about how grandma, uh, your mom, she was able to commune with spirits in a way.
Well, she says she has, but I don't think in a wake state. It's more like in a dream state
Hmm.
that they would come to her. Like she kind of had an idea. She kind of knew that like my sister, your Aunt Jeannie, was going to pass away. Jeannie herself had dreams of herself. She knew she was going to die like young. My father, same thing. He dreamed that he was going to die. He had an idea. He knew he was going to die.
Hmm.
So,
That's it's a warning to think if I have such a thing, but I haven't had any premonitions or anything like that. But it seems some kind of psychic abilities are in my bloodline anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, at least when you're sleeping.
Hmm.
Yeah.
More when you're sleeping.
Well,
Your subconscious takes over.
yeah. Now, all this look into the supernatural stuff like that, did anything come of it, or you just kind of left it behind?
Mm, no, I mean, I actually can even considered going into studying parapsychology, but no, I guess I wasn't meant to follow that direction. I kind of steered over to the medical field, which is something that I also was very interested in as well. So nothing really came out of it.
Too bad for you. I picked up where you left off.
Yeah.
But one thing I've talked about a lot on the podcast, because probably the most profound experiences you've ever had anything was with supposedly aliens.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Those suckers have been in my life. Well, what I mean to say is I guess I can let them know about that, I guess vision, dream. I'm not sure what it is. I
Well,
don't
yeah.
know if you've told them about it.
Well, I haven't told on the podcast, but just for I guess people who haven't listened to the alien episodes when I talked about that, talk about the experience you had when you were a kid, when you guys are coming home from the movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. We were coming home from the movies. I believe we were living in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I'm not sure. I know it was a military town we were living at. And as we were going into the city, we were coming down like from up this hill, going down this hill, and the city was like below us. You could see, and it was probably like getting ready to become nighttime, like right before dark. Um, it was still kind of light outside. I'd say like maybe 5, 6 o'clock. And as we were coming down, um, oh, wait, no, it was actually already dark because I remember because what was weird is it was already kind of dark. You could see the city lights. And then all of a sudden, as we're halfway down that hill, this big, gigantic flash of light shows up in the sky and it lights up the whole city, everything around us. All of a sudden, it becomes like midday for a few seconds. And then it just goes out. And then that was it. And then I think after that, we don't even, I think at least I concur with my mom because she was in the car as well. I have not really talked about this to my brothers, but we don't remember going home or getting home after that. And I swear, I think I believe I saw that's something about that. There was other people that had seen it. It came out on the newspaper.
What year was this?
Oh gosh, it had to have been in the 1990s, maybe late 1990s. I was still in school,
I was
maybe
born in '87. What are
19.
you talking about?
That's no, 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 not even because no, 1970s, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes, because I graduated in 1985. 1970s, I'm sorry.
I was like, I was born in
Yeah,
'87.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I'm sorry. Yeah, 1970s, way back then. And it was just so weird because I remember looking at my mom and we're both like with our mouths open, like, what was that? It's like all of a sudden somebody turned the sun on and it became daylight and then it went back to being night. It was just the strangest thing.
I've only ever experienced something like that with lightning. I think it was me.
No, there was not lightning because there was no
Yeah.
storm. It was just like a big giant ball of light that lit up the whole sky and then boom, and then it was gone. No sound either. There was no sound. There was no thunder, no lightning. This was like a ball of light.
Mhm. And then I remember you were telling me about this dream you had. I was like, what the fuck? That-
Yeah. And it was a recurring. It was recurring. But it's strange because I haven't had that in years now. But when I was younger, I used to have it all the time. And it was dark. And in my dream, I could feel that I was young. I felt like I was a child or at least a young spirit. And we were walking towards the edge of this cliff that was like super high because you could look up to the sky. Uh, and I was walking with somebody. I couldn't really, you couldn't really tell. I don't think we had physical forms, but I could tell that I was young and this person that was with me, who was holding my hand, was older than me, more knowledgeable. And once we get down to the edge and we stand there and we're looking up at the stars in the sky, and I'm like, just childlike, like, why are we here? Are we waiting for something? And they answer me back in my head, uh, they're coming for us. We're going home. And then we go back to continue looking up at the sky. And that's it. And
Yeah, I
that's
remember.
recurring.
I told Megan about that. She was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh,
And when I actually told my mom about that for the first time, she's like, "Oh, that makes sense." She goes, "Because you were weirded me out. You freaked me out when you were born." She goes, "Because when you were born and you came out, your eyes were wide open, unlike a newborn that never does that." She goes, "Your eyes were wide open. You were looking around like you were actually like, where am I? What is this place?" And it freaked her out.
that's how Killian was. When Killian
Yeah.
was born, he opened his eyes and he was like staring around. He's staring right at me, like just like looking around and staring. Like he just kept staring at everyone.
Hmm.
Yeah. But you were telling me something. I think it was last week. Um, that you were watching this documentary on like alien abductions and how sometimes the people would have nosebleeds, and that happened to you a lot.
Yes, I actually read that it happens a lot to a lot of these people. They get nosebleeds, but because supposedly they got implants from the aliens implanted something in their nose that causes a lot of the nosebleeds and headaches. But it happened when I was younger. I think I was, let's see, about 13, and I was getting nosebleeds. I think it happened for maybe about a month. I was getting continuous nosebleeds every other day at night. I would get nosebleeds, and my mom took me into the doctor. He was like, "Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with her. We can't really explain why she keeps getting nosebleeds. Just kind of treat it." Um, as far as I remember, that's all he had said. And then I kept getting nosebleeds for some reason, and I would just treat it. No pain, no nothing, just nosebleeds. And then I think before it ended, I think I was 14 by that age. No, not 14. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get my ages all mixed up. I was 9 because I remember I started my period. Sorry, I started my period when I was 10. Okay, so the nosebleeds were happening before that, and then the night of, I woke up because I was like very nauseous. So I went to the bathroom. I threw up. What was weird is I threw up blood for some reason because I noticed it was like a really dark red color. And then as soon as I raised up my head after throwing up, everything went black. I didn't faint. Everything just went black because I went blind. I could not see anything. So I turned around and I got on the floor and I started crawling towards the door. I was like yelling like for my mom, like, "I'm blind. I can't see. Come help me." I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was walking and I believe I got into the hallway and I believe I fainted when I was in the hallway. And then next thing I remember, I think I woke up in my bed the next day with like covered in blood. I had started my period. And there was blood everywhere. I don't know why I went through such a hard time with the nosebleeds and that. I'm not sure. I never really understood why that happened.
Now, aliens in them in particular has never been the forte of podcasts. We've been strictly about the
Yeah.
paranormal for a long time. So there is probably some alien experts that I could probably talk to or even listen to the show that would know, oh, there's this and this because of that. I wouldn't know. But that wasn't your last time dealing with possible alien stuff. You said it happened to you again while we were living on the ranch.
Yes, yes. I was working at a Dairy Queen with my your aunt, Carmen, and we were working late nights. So I think it was probably already after 12 by the time we were driving home. And we lived in the hill country, so it was dark once we got into close to the house. It was really dark. And we were coming down the road right before you come into to turn into the private road to the ranch. And she noticed because she was on the passenger side. She had her window open. It was a clear, it was not summer, clear sky. Um, and she kept seeing this bright light, like, I mean, brighter than a star. It was like above us. I mean, far enough away that it wasn't really close. There was no sound coming from it, but it was bright enough that she noticed that it kept following us as we were driving down the road. And both of us kept going like, what is going on? And I would stop the car because nobody was around, and it would stop. I would continue, it would continue. So we finally, crossed over that little ditch where the little river is.
Mm.
And then as soon as I got past that little part, she was like, oh my God, it's still following us. So she's like, turn your lights off. So I turned my lights off. I turned, and then I finally turned into the road that takes us to the ranch. It continued to follow us. I remember turning into the gate. And as I was turning into the gate, I made the left to go take her home. I remember dropping her off. And after that, I don't remember. I don't remember getting home, like actually backing up my car, driving up to our trailer, getting out of the car, going inside. I don't remember any of that.
Now, of all the abduction stories I've ever heard from anyone, and the ones we've ever talked about on the podcast, that is the telltale sign of someone abducted. Losing time. When you lost time, when you don't remember periods of time like blackouts, right? That's always they say because they abducted you. And I was talking to a good friend, and I remember telling him this after you told me, and he was like, oh, was she pregnant with you? I was like, no. Because
Mm,
that would explain, or I'll say to some people, where my ability might have come from. Oh, the aliens gave it to me. Um, but you weren't pregnant with me. You were pregnant with Gabe, right?
Gabe, I believe when I was working at the Dairy Queen, I was pregnant with Gabe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's why
Which I
he's
always
so
said,
tall and skinny.
and so I said, if there's any brother who could be a possible alien, it's Gabe. He's very tall. He's lanky. He's got long fingers. He basically has a physique
Yeah.
of a Greg. So, and he was
Yeah.
born blonde. Out of all my siblings, we all had dark hair born, but he was born blonde. And Danica actually got darker over age. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And he's also very interested in aliens. You remember that?
yeah.
He was always wanting Estella to tell him about aliens since she works in the FBI.
I had several relatives in the FBI, but I never spilled any secrets. Well, then again, maybe they did
No.
not know. Who knows? Might a whole different
Yeah.
division. But when you woke up the next day, did you just like write it off like a weird experience, or you don't remember?
I don't remember. That was so long ago. That was in my 20s.
You didn't tell
Uh,
dad. Dad was like, "Ah, you made it up. You're just tired."
no, but you know what? I need to somehow, maybe if you ever get a hold of Carmen, or if I ever see her again, I need to actually ask her if she remembers that and see if she remembers it. I got to
Yeah.
get in contact with her because I just remember we were both like really scared.
You'd have to drag it out of her 'cause I don't know if she's ever. Because when I started getting into the paranormal and stuff like that, I asked and I would talk about it. I think Sandra was the only one, my Aunt Sandra, my dad's sister, she was the only one to ever tell me anything. And then the only thing she ever told me, I don't know if she was trying to do to scare me. Granted, I was like 14 or 15 at the time, but she told me she saw some kind of gray man in her closet.
Hmm.
I remember her telling me there was a gray man in her closet that she remembers when she was a kid. And this is why she was on the ranch.
Yeah, I remember them saying something like that. And then I think your father too, them saying all kinds of stuff. I never saw anything. I mean, aside from that, um, as far as like ghosts or like evil entities, anything like that, I never experienced that.
And that's a question a lot of people always wanted to know and to make sure to ask you. Of all the stuff that I've ever said that happened on the ranch, everything that happened to me, it happened to Gabe, happened to Valerie even, and happened to
Mm-hmm.
several other people who lived there. And you lived there technically longer than I did because I was able to move away. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think you did that longer than I did. The entire time, every time you were out late night, you came home, you got into the house, you never heard nothing the entire time. You didn't remember like a slight, well, I might have seen like shadow figure, something in the woods, or you heard something. Nothing.
No, and I mean, when I used to talk to him on the phone late at night, I would sit outside, and this was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was on myself on the steps, talking in the middle of the night outside. Never heard anything, never saw anything. And I would do that a lot. And I would walk to your grandma's house in the dark by myself. Never felt fear.
And that's the thing too. I mean, when I tell people stories of the ranch, and I tell them like all the scary stuff ever happened. Even the friends I had who came over to the house,
Mm,
which wasn't a lot after what happened to Mike. Sorry, Mike. What happened to Matt and Steven, what happened to them? They never came back to the ranch. But I always tell them it doesn't happen like every single day. Like the experiences I always told were like they were years apart from each other. It wasn't like there was like maybe a couple of
mm,
years something would go by and nothing would happen, and randomly something would. Um, but also when I talk about my experiences, my seizure episodes, when I had those seizure things, every time I had deja vu, uh, and I always theorized that I was like moving dimensions from one to the other because I have core memories from my childhood that I try to talk to you about. Be like, I don't remember that, and I don't know.
mm.
I don't know. It's either you don't remember or it's from alternate universe because I distinctly remember one evening, and it had to be around summertime because we had the windows open. And I don't remember exact age I was. I know I wasn't a teenager, but I know I wasn't a kid anymore. So it had to be around a certain time we would move back. I want to say maybe 13 or 14 at most. But we didn't have AC or anything like that, so we had the windows open during the summer. And I remember the sun was setting, and then we started hearing this screaming like a wounded animal coming from the woods behind the house. And it kept getting closer. It kept getting stay like really far away, and then like hours later, it kept getting closer and closer to the house. And I remember it got so close, it sounded like it was right outside. And I remember you yelling at Dad, telling him to, "Hey, go do whatever it is out there. I don't want it getting near the house and hurting us." And I remember I opening the back door because I remember where the laundry room was. I opened the back door, and I wanted to see what was out there, and it was too dark for me to see anything. I could just hear it, and all I remember is Dad scaring the crap out of me by firing off his magnum like 6 times in the direction of wherever this was to scare it off. But you don't
Do
remember
not
that.
recall.
Yeah.
I don't even remember him having a gun.
He had a black magnum or a black
Uh-uh.
revolver. I remember that.
Uh-uh.
That I
Not that
saw
I
was
ever.
that way.
I never saw it.
He had a silver shotgun that I know Grandpa gave him because he used that to kill the rattlesnake one day when me and Gabe were coming home. Well, me and Gabe Elijah were coming home from school. We got off the bus and we spotted it on the road, and we told him. He ran over there and shot it with that shotgun.
Mm.
And I remember he had a black revolver because I remember one time me and Gabe, I think we were in our closet looking for something, and we found it. We found like the gun in its case.
Oh my gosh. I hope
We
you
didn't
left it
use it.
there.
I think it was in a lockbox, but I remember he showing it to Javier one day or my uncle one random day or something like that. But yeah, I remember he had a gun. I think after that he kept it in his truck or in his little tool area where he kept all his tools and stuff in the garage they built.
Mm.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. I don't remember that at all.
But yeah, that's what made me think that I have memories from other dimensions or something like that, other realities. But because that's like a core memory, like you have a memory that's like burned into your mind. That's one of those that's always been there from one of those
Yeah.
weird experiences I had on the ranch.
Mm. Sorry, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Anyway, uh, but do you remember anything from my childhood that would give you hints or something? Because I know people all probably would ask you that. Like, was Isaac ever a weird kid? Did he ever show signs that he would be what he is now, doing what he is doing now? Like, did he ever like have like kind of intuitive abilities randomly out of nowhere? I say something like, "How the hell do you know that?"
Not really. I mean, you were probably, I'd say maybe more mature than kids your age. You matured pretty quick. You were smart, but
I think it was clever. I think I wasn't very smart.
yes, clever,
Yeah.
clever, yes, funny, and yeah, more mature than most kids, other kids your age, but weird or strange, not that I recall. Mm-mm.
It was funny as I was telling you all the stuff that me and Gabe and Elijah would do, like paranormal things and stuff like that. And you had no clue.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I was like, where was I? Probably at work.
or asleep. You know, because
Oh,
it was that time that we used the video camera recorder, the
mm,
shoulder one, the one because I told someone about it, like, oh, like the handheld one, like,
that big
no,
giant bulky one.
one you have to carry on your shoulders. Yeah, that's how long ago this was. But when me, Gabe, and Elijah were up one night during the summer, and we went down the road and off to the left where I remember Mario and I always say that's where the witch lived or something like that. That old building that looked like it was burnt.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
we were walking past, and Gabe's the one that first that saw it, and then I saw this white figure standing out there in that field. And Elijah, being the worst cameraman since Blair Witch, didn't capture anything. But yeah, there were times like that where we were out there at night and stuff like that, and just hear weird shit all the time. And then it wasn't just me; it was people who come on the ranch as well,
I don't know. I never experienced anything strange aside from that light that was following us.
oblivious to everything paranormal.
Yeah.
The dad, did he ever tell you about like ghost experiences he ever had?
Um, Not really, not much. He would tell me a lot of what happened to him when he was in Mexico. A lot of stuff that happened to him then. I know my mom told me a lot of stuff that she experienced living in a house that they lived in San Antonio. That she would see evil spirits.
What?
Yeah, a lot. They would like come to her that she would
Uh,
just kind of pray and eventually they would leave, they would go away. Oh, you know what? And I told her about there was this another recurring dream that I had, which I didn't know it was a dream. I actually thought it was a memory. And then I told her about it. And she's like, no, I don't think that was a memory. I think that's probably a dream. I seriously would have thought that it was a memory of me and her going to visit. I can't remember if it was an aunt, like her aunt or her grandmother's house. There was a two-story house, and then I remember her saying to me, Silviana, like go get this from the room upstairs. We need this. I don't remember what it was. So I'd started going up the stairs, and then there was like like the landing, and then you had to turn around and go up the second pair of stairs. So then when I got started to go up the second pair of stairs, I would just stop. I just stopped. It's like there was like a brick wall in front of me. I just like something hit me. I felt such a sense of evil, just an evil presence. And I was like, no way, I am not going up there. So I ran back down the stairs and I told her, I am sorry, I'm not going up there. There's something wrong in that house up there, upstairs. And she's like, well, and then I told her about that. And she's like, no, I don't remember anybody ever having a two-story house. So I always thought it was a memory because it was so clear. But she said, no, it probably was a dream.
And what do you mean evil spirits would come to grandma? What did she see? She would see demons or something?
Yes. Not
And they,
like in demon form, but in like a human man. But she knew it was a demon.
yeah, why were they coming after grandma? What was their purpose? What did they want?
I don't really knew that if she knew. I don't know. She really didn't know. This was when she was younger, a girl.
Mm.
And maybe it was the house. I think she said it was the house, not specifically that it was her, because I think she said that some of her other siblings experienced the same thing. It
Mm.
was a specific house that they lived in when they were young.
It seems my war with evil has been going on longer than I was even before I was born.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah.
Mm.
I try not to deal with the supernatural any longer, though.
Well, I don't have a choice anymore, and I'm already telling you
Yeah.
about that all the time. But um, what's interesting is that I always thought it was strange is that if you have intuitive abilities and stuff like that, you would pass it on. But I'm the only one of my siblings who seem to have any kind of ability. Well, I thought I was, but he said my sister Marina, she has dreams like premonition almost, or she can
Um,
move in her dreams, like she knows she's dreaming.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's had that dream a couple of times where she's like in a room with people and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm dreaming." And all of a sudden she feels like I don't know how she explained it, like it's like if you've seen like a whirlwind, like all of a sudden the scene in the dreams disappears, like in a little swirl. It's like, "Ooh," and it just disappears.
Mm.
I don't know. And then she had like that one dream where she said like uh she asked somebody the time and that they looked at her like, "What? You're not supposed to ask that." And then she felt like the life got sucked out of her.
The dream police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has the alien dream all the time.
Alien
Aliens
dream.
aliens attacking us and killing us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's hope she doesn't have premonition abilities. Otherwise, I'll have a different fight.
I know.
Yeah. But I always thought it was strange is that like like as strong with my abilities as I am, that not Gabe or Elijah showed any kind of abilities whatsoever until now. And Marina's kind of gained the family bloodline of premonition stories within dreams and stuff like that. Hopefully, she's not
Yeah.
like the alien thing, but and it just kind of I always wonder like if there is some kind of like long bloodline, either on like because dad's side, he said, I don't know, Miko, I don't know, I never know anywhere on my side who had any SC abilities or nothing. So I always tell listeners, by the way, every impression I do of my dad is pretty spot on.
It is.
Um, but it's not in my bloodline. And the thing is, if it has to go back, it has to go back very far, like probably to like all the way to the Aztecs or the Mayans, where of course my bloodline meets its beginnings. But the mystery of my ability is still out there. Though I'm getting
It
closer to
remains
finding.
remains
Well,
a mystery.
well, I'm getting closer, but there's still a lot of puzzle pieces to fit together. There's one story that I always wanted clarification on because I remember Dad telling me about it, but I don't remember if he told me because he doesn't remember 100% clearly, but I remember this. And it's another one of those memories from my childhood. I need clarification on whether or not it happened or is it from another reality. But I remember he told me one time that we were in San Jose, or he was in San Jose by himself, or he was living on his own. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but he said he was go using the bathroom late at night. And he was walking down the hallway to his bedroom. And this wasn't in Texas. I remember he said this wasn't happening in Texas, but I remember he said he saw a shadow figure that he thought was someone who broke into the house. And he ran after him like he was going to tackle him, and he did. Like he remember grabbing this person, thinking it was like a burglar coming to the house. And then like the burglar kind of got like around him, moved around, and he ran away. And my dad started chasing him, but the shadow ran into the wall and disappeared.
Did he ever tell me about that?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. I remember that clearly because I remember he was telling us when we were kids. And because I remember like Javier said something or Mario and they were talking about, oh yeah, that one time he went on talking about that. Um, but oftentimes he just shakes it off. But he would tell me stories about what happened to Grandpa in Mexico and stuff like that, and which
Oh
I've
yeah,
shared on the
no.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, when they lived in Mexico, they experienced a lot.
my next conquering land for the supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's got some stories to tell.
but I think that's all I want to talk about today. We'll go ahead and end it there. Um, if people want to find you, or if you want them to find you, where you want them to find you?
Home, where I'm at all the time. I work from home.
You don't have to share any socials if you don't want.
Well, I'm on Facebook.
That's Sylvia Sanchez.
Yes.
Well, as always, you can catch our socials at Hidden the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, Hidden the Shadows 6 on X, Hidden the Shadows Podcast 2 on TikTok. Our links to all of social media and all waiting listeners at hiddenshadowspodcast.com. Appreciate you coming on, Mama.
I appreciate you having me on. It was nice.
Yes.
Glad to tell my stories.
Yes. As always, we'll catch your weirdos in the next one.
God bless.